Before we get into this heartfelt anime, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button right down at the bottom. Hayao Miyazaki, he's the writer. He is responsible for a lot of good films from the early 1980s up until his Oscar-winning film, Spirited Away.
And I think I've been lucky because I've been able to participate in the last era when we can make films with paper, pencil, and film.
And a lot of his films have to do with everyday people that's involving a lot of emotion within them.
I am American to a fault. I do not watch anime. This is literally, I am not kidding you, the second anime I have ever watched to completion in my entire life. I do not watch anime. It is just like I was saying before, with like a lot of Indian films, I just have a blank spot there. So this to me was a wholly new experience. I know that anime in Japan is not like animation here in the United States in that it's taken much more seriously. It's considered like a much higher form of art, where here in the United States, animation has it's got a stigma that it's for kids. For me, this was a wholly unique experience.
I, on the other hand, is the opposite. I got my introduction into anime when I was very young. And my introduction to anime came through what would be considered the spectacle type of stuff. Stuff that I probably shouldn't have been watching at 10 years old. Like Fatal Fury and Fist of the North Star and Street Fighter, the original animation film, and Guyver. Ooh, gosh, Guyver, amazing! All those films that I watched when I was younger was character driven, but it was also a lot of action, a lot of fighting, and that's what I loved back then. And then around the same time this film came out, there's a little film by the name of Ghost in the Shell that came out. And it was very, very popular in my household with me and my brother and my stepdad. That type of anime I've watched and I love. This involves a character by the name of Shizuku. She's a 14-year-old girl that lives in Japan, and her head is in the books.
She is just a big old nerd.
Big old nerd.
She loves to read, and she's made it her goal to read 20 books this summer. She's gonna read 20 books this summer, hell or high water, F you and your mama, F her grades, F everybody. She's reading 20 effing books, okay?
I decided I was gonna read 20 books over summer vacation, and the city library doesn't have the book I want. It'll just be a second.
20 books? What about your high school entrance exams?
So she's in that library all the time, and when she's in the library, she notices that there's a pattern to who's been checking out the books. And she looks at the list and she's like, there's just one guy who keeps checking out the same books that I'm checking out. And it's important to note that Shizuku is 14 years old and she really is not really interested in boys yet. So she says, right? But she starts to wonder, who is this mystery boy who is checking out the same books that she's checking out? The movie starts in the strangest place. The movie starts and it's like, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. And I'm like, what the fuck?
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
That's an American song, and it's like a country song. I'm like, that's not what I was expecting. She takes that song and she rewrites the lyrics to not talk about a faraway land, West Virginia, but to talk about her home here in Japan.
Concrete roads everywhere I go, covering West Tokyo, chopped down forests, buried our valleys, my hometown's down concrete road.
and all her classmates really loved it. And so ultimately this is a coming of age story about this little studious girl trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life moving forward. Where's her direction in life? And when she discovers this little boy who also likes the same books that she does, she's kind of like inspired to
she's inspired and obsessed.
Yeah, she's inspired to get herself in gear. But she's also, like you said, really fascinated with this other little boy's passions, which are very different from hers.
His passions involve the violin, not really playing the violin, but making the violin.
Right.
He is a craftsman.
I gotta say that I really enjoyed this film. I thought this was really interesting and really soulful. It's slow, steady pace really draws you in to where at the end of the film, her hometown feels like your hometown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
This is not something that I think most Americans would like. This is a character study. Most Americans, we talk about all the time, like spectacle. Boom, bam, pow, woo. You know, Dragon Ball Z is big over here for a reason, you know?
Miyazaki writes touching films. He makes you feel. Okay, he's not gonna be throwing no fist or anything like that. His protagonist is going to have a human issue that has to be resolved. The human issue in this is, what am I worth? Okay, what's my worth in this world when it comes to, or when I'm being compared to somebody else's greatness? Shizuku, when she finds out the boy is extremely talented, Shinji is extremely talented, it thrusts her to beat her own expectations.
All right, she's trying to prove herself to herself. Seeing his focus on his violin making made her question things in her life. Like, what am I doing? You know, with my day. And in this film, her reading books is more or less framed as I don't want to say a negative, but it's framed as like she's got her head in the clouds. Like she's not really dealing with reality, you know. And so she's like, you know what? Maybe I need to start focusing on reality, because this boy who's almost my exact same age, by her eyes, by her 14-year-old eyes, he's like a master, right? He's gonna go to freaking Italy to study with more masters to be an incredible person. Like, am I doing enough? But she likes him, and she's like, am I good enough to be with someone like this? You know, and so these are like the big issues that she's wrestling with. But to go back to what you said earlier about like how there are two types of anime or just two types of film, this is kind of my issue with film in general. Like, why? There shouldn't be two types, right? I don't understand why you have to pick between spectacle and story. And so this is why I beat up on, you know, my normal people that I beat up on, like Zack Snyder, where he does pick. He very clearly picks, right? He very clearly is like, I choose spectacle, F you story. And it's like, what? Why? You know, for me anyway, this movie felt, again, for me, a more or less anime virgin. This to me felt like a combination of spectacle and story, because I thought the animation was so subdued and so subtle and so careful, and I just thought this was a really beautiful film. One day when she's out, she's reading her books, and she is, as always, hoping to see a fairy tale in real life, and she sits on the train, and I just thought the shot where she's sitting on the train and you can see like the handles moving as the train goes, I just thought it was beautifully drawn. The animation is just incredible. But there's a cat on the train, a fat, mean ass cat on the train.
Unbothered.
Yeah, unbothered. And so she's talking to the cat, and she's like, okay, cool. Well, nice to see you, cat. This is my stop. So she gets up, and the cat gets up, and she's like, what? And so she follows the cat looking for some adventure, right? And the cat takes her to a part of town she didn't even know existed. She was like, what is this? She has truly transported into like a magical land. Just like in her books, she has gone to somewhere that she would never thought she'd ever see. But where the cat brought her was to an antique store. And in that antique store was a cat statue. And the cat is like wearing a top hat and all that stuff. And she's really inspired by that cat, by the image of the cat, and the story that came with the cat. The shopkeeper makes it clear that the cat statue is not for sale, and it never will be for sale. The cat statue is called the Baron, and he's waiting for the Baroness. He's waiting for the cat statues to reunite, and he's hoping to reunite with his long-lost love from Germany. They got separated during the war, and every day he goes to sleep in hopes that she comes back. And so this like longing for love really like inspired Shizuku to write a story. So she decides to like write this fictional story, and in the movie, which I thought was so cool, it's like animated through her mind. Like she's imagining what the story looks like, and so she's like in the clouds, and the cat is fully animated, and it's very whimsical and surreal. And I just thought that was really, really cool. And I think it showed like how you can kind of get inspiration from anywhere. Sure, her life is pretty average and seemingly mundane to her, but like there is magic and whimsy, you know, anywhere she chooses to look.
Miyazaki writes his stories like it's coming up from the page. I can feel it.
It felt real. It felt personal. And it felt like something that I'm pretty sure anyone has experienced. That feeling of like, who am I? Where do I belong? Am I special? When I look around, I see special people all around me. But am I one of them? You know? And in her mind, she wasn't. But it turns out, not only was she special, but there were like boys that really had crushes on her. She had no clue, right? So she was very clearly the main character, but she had no main character energy. You know what I mean? She didn't realize she didn't realize that everyone was like looking at her in awe. You know. And one thing I really liked about this, as someone who tries to be creative, I'm not saying I'm the most creative person in the world, but as someone who tries to be creative, there's nothing more valuable than like honest criticism, not mean criticism, nothing cruel or anything like that. The internet's full of like cruel, mean garbage, you know,
a lot of them,
but
we've seen it in our comments,
of course. But to get someone who is on your side and giving you honest criticism, that still hurts, but it's so useful. She writes that story about the Baron. It's almost presented to you as like, she's writing some next level shit, you know what I'm saying? And she gives it to the shopkeeper and she's like, be honest with me. Is it good? And he's like, no. And, you know, and she's like, what? You know?
And she starts crying and stuff and he's like, about it. But
he's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's like, that's just how it is.
Because listen, people, it takes time. And that's why he, in the story, the old man tells her that, which by the way, this is Shinji's grandfather, by the way. Yep. The old man tells her that, hey, I got this rock, and inside of this rock is a gem. And you know, and you're basically the rock, but you have the special elements that's inside you. Right. You just have to polish that thing. Yeah. Polish that talent.
Her arc is that, yeah, she's not going to nail it every time. When she chooses a passion, when she chooses something she likes, she realizes that to think you're going to nail it the first time, that's actually a childish thought, right? Yes. What you have to do is like you were saying with the shopkeeper, the old shopkeeper. He was like, you're more like a geode, right? Yes, from the outside, you look just like a plain old rock, but if you crack it open and you polish it, you know, yeah, there are some gems in there, and you just have to work on it. And cracking it open, man, that's hard. That's tough stuff. That is tough. But guess what's even harder? Polishing it. That's tough too. That'll take a lifetime. But you know what? If you polish it enough and you crack it open just right, there are some even smaller gems in there. These are the most valuable gems, and these are the hardest to get at. And he used that as a metaphor for like her journey in growing up, right? Like yeah, you don't have it all now, but if you work at it, if you work hard, you can eventually become, you know, a gem. You got to keep going. You got to do the work, the thing that no one ever wants to do. And by the end of the film, because she was thinking, you know, I'm gonna drop out of high school and go be a writer. You know, that's what she thought. She was like, I'm gonna be a writer. It's gonna be great. I was living my imagination. But after she writes that story, and the shopkeeper's like, yeah, your story sounds like a middle schooler wrote it. She's like, you know what? Maybe I need to work on this. And I liked that more or less. The story just ended there, right? We never really got any. I know there's a sequel, and I haven't seen it, so I don't want to talk about it. But we never really got any closure to that. Does she ever become a writer? If she does she become a good writer? We don't know, because life is the journey, right? It's not necessarily the destination. It's the journey. So I found that really, really touching. I love that. That was just great.
Bar. Yeah, life is the journey, and it's not really the destination. And within this story, her relationship with Shinji turned from like this sense of self-competition because of him being around into being like a really, really loving relationship, because he came back and he decided, he's like, yo, I'm gonna go to high school too.
Yeah.
Because I got some things I need to learn.
Exactly. He spent some time with the masters, and he was like, you know what? I should stay in high school for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And that's a healthy response. Sometimes there are movies that feel like adult movies, and that's what this feels like. I don't mean adult like a porno, but I mean like adult like this is something that, yes, a kid can
logical up
exactly. A kid could enjoy it, but as you like experience life, you realize you understand there's more layers to this, and I love that.
If I'd never seen anime like I saw it when I was 10, and if I saw this film before I saw the spectacle films, I would give this like a higher grade. But because of all the spectacle stuff I've seen, I have a strong taste for that. With the spectacle and the story, because those animes that I mentioned earlier had great stories within them. With his stories, it's just very calm, and sometimes I can go for the calm, other times not so much.
I get it.
But I'm going to give this film a B, okay? Because this film is beautiful. This film is written very, very well. But I don't know if I wasn't so liking the slowness of it. I still have to give it a B because Miyazaki is a craftsman when it comes to his characters. And what did we say? If you nail your characters down, the rest of your movie
it's gonna be fun.
Into place.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. I totally understand your B. I'm gonna give this one an A. Surprising A for me. Because when the movie started, I was thrown that it starts with a country song, that American song. I was like, what? And then I didn't realize at the time that was kind of cueing me in that this isn't the movie you think it's going to be. I liked the story a lot. I liked the characters a lot. And I guess for me, maybe it's because I didn't grow up on anime. I know nothing about anime. And I'll be blunt, I don't care about anime. I care about story. I don't really care about the format, right? I'm much more of a story-driven type of guy. And I thought the story was great. So the animation, to me, was the spectacle for me. I have dabbled at drawing, and I could never draw a single frame of this film.
You draw really well.
Yeah, but I couldn't draw like this. Like, holy crap! I thought it was amazing. Like, I thought the subtlety of the film. And there's a lot of movement. In animation, movement is expensive. That's why in Dragon Ball, and they all stand still. And then just their mouths move, because animating anything else is very expensive.
What's going on? Goten's dad is putting out even more energy than before.
But here, she'll do things that feel very human, right? She'll go for a doorknob, miss it, and grab again. You know what I mean? And there's a really good example is towards the end of the film, where her now boyfriend puts his jacket on her shoulders, and they're riding up the hill, and the jacket falls off, and she's like, "Oops!" and she grabs and puts it back on. You got nothing from that little bit of animation. That probably took them a long time to animate that, but that does ground a lot of her movements.
Do you recommend this film?
That is a tough one. It's a tough one because, like you said, I think most people that I know would not be into this, right? Most people that I know would want something more flashy, more boom, 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 bang. And so I guess I'll say yes. This is not for everybody though, because like you said, the movie takes its time, and there's no big explosion at the end. There's really no high drama. It's just about a girl trying to find herself.
And for me, I say that if you are a Hayao Miyazaki fan, this is something that's going to be right up your alley, like with Kiki's Delivery Service. It's very slow, but the slowness is necessary. It's necessary for the type of films that he makes.
I agree.
If
this were faster, I think it wouldn't be any good.
More importantly, do you recommend this film? Are you a fan of Miyazaki's films? Please do us a favor, get in the comments and let us know. Thank you for clicking on this video. We really do appreciate you guys. Hey, if you want to see more of this, please click that subscribe button right down at the bottom, all right? Hey, and if you did like this, please hit that thumbs up, or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. Just remember one thing, it's mostly wrong. See you guys in another animated awesome film.